Qingdao government falsely claimed that coronavirus testing is free, but in fact, testing costs money. A Chinese expert exposed the reality: the 5G network technology is immature. Zhong Nanshan repeatedly misled the public. Inner Mongolia conducted military education for children. The CCP brainwashed children to enslave them. A high-ranking official of the National Energy Bureau was arrested. CCP used lies and flatteries to superior officials to cover up the reality of poverty. In the time of crisis, CCP always let low-ranking workers be scapegoats. Qingdao is initiating investigations into the negligent culprits during the disease prevention effort.
目前我们正在开始对相关的责任单位和责任人员失职失责问题进行调查，我们将视调查的情况依规依纪依法作出处理。
The police in Wuhan cracked down on protesters with violence. There is no democracy under the CCP's rule. Peaceful protesters in Wuhan were brutally cracked down. Schools in communist China handed out to students contaminated ham sausages containing pieces of duct tape. At Yantai, a hailstorm destroyed fruits to be sold.
Communist China admitted it had to rely on imported soybeans. Ke Bingsheng, former chancellor of China Agricultural University, explains in the clip by saying that, in terms of animal feed, China is self-sufficient in corn. The biggest shortage is in soybean. The amount of soybean China imports each year is 5 times the amount of domestic production. In recent 3 years, China has been importing about 19 million tons of soybean per year. He also predicts that the future trend of importing soybean will only increase. Huawei's 5G technology is boasted as the world leader, but the user experience is poor. Yuan Longping Online connected with Qingdao seawater rice testing base to celebrate the high yield, but the rice seeds came from foreign companies.
测产结果是542.5公斤，到品种套有签号的。特别是山东那个等级的产量，大概860公斤是吧？但是非常成功，是吧？非常好，是吧？很了不起。
CCP runs the country with falsehood. In order to defraud the subsidy, Cherry New Energy created the mileage by idling the car. The police punched and kicked, beating the unarmed people extremely vicious. Under the CCP system, the police are merciless to the people. Don't hit people. Why are you beating so hard? G Fashion launched online on October 17th.
Confidence, power, beauty, culture, life, respect, people. only function can put everything together.
The CCP media frantically attacked O'Brien on his advice to Taiwan. CCP military aircraft have repeatedly harassed Taiwan's airspace, creating tensions. Finland suspended its agreement with Hong Kong for the surrender of fugitive offenders. The CCP side was angry. Facing the South China Sea crisis, Wang Yi made a strong response.
China's consumer inflation slowed to its weakest in 19 months, underscoring the challenges still facing China as it recovers from the COVID-19 pandemic. China's Consumer Price Index, a main gauge of inflation, grew 1.7% year-on-year last month, down from 2.4% in August. Economists had expected a 1.8% rise. Pork price inflation moderated further as pork prices rose 25.5% year-on-year in September, slowing from a 52.5% increase in August. Additionally, the country's Producer Price Index, which gauges factory gate prices, fell by 2.1% on a yearly basis in September versus a 2% decline in August, declining for an eighth consecutive month. The world's second largest economy has seen a steady recovery after being hit hard by the coronavirus in the first quarter, but a sustained fall in producer prices, seen as a gauge of industrial demand, may deepen worries about deflation and prompt authorities to provide more support.
Tang Chunhui, spokesman for China's Eastern Theater Command, warned the U.S. to stop its provocative actions in the area. However, the U.S. Navy called the action a routine Taiwan Strait transit, and the Defense Ministry of Taiwan also added that the situation was as normal. Tensions are escalating as U.S. Navy destroyer USS Barry sailed through the Taiwan Strait on Wednesday, just a day after the Chinese president ordered troops to prepare for war. The escalated tensions between the three countries comes after Xi gave orders to soldiers on Tuesday to focus on preparing for war at military bases located across Taiwan. During the military visit, Xi also told the troops to maintain a state of high alert.
U.S. National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien said on Friday that China was perpetrating something close to a genocide with its treatment of Muslims in its Xinjiang region. He made the comments during an online event hosted by the Aspen Institute.
They're bullying Taiwan again. They've taken over Hong Kong, lock, stock, and barrel. Tibet remains out there. There's, if not a genocide, something close to it going on in Xinjiang. So the Chinese are very, very assertive, very aggressive now.
The United States has denounced China's treatment of Uyghur and other minority Muslims in the region and imposed sanctions on officials it blames for abuses.
Let me assure you that this is his hard drive. It was given to my lawyer by the gentleman who had repaired it. It had been left behind by, he says, a drunken Hunter Biden who came in and had a very hard time even signing and did describe what he wanted. He came back one time to supply a keyboard. And then after it was repaired, he never returned, even though there was substantial notices to return. After a while, when the gentleman heard things on the news suggesting that the Bidens may or may not have been involved in criminal activity, he became very concerned that possibly he was holding some kind of illegal material. So it was now his property, according to the contract signed by Hunter Biden, which we have right here. The property was abandoned. And property that's abandoned under the law becomes the property of the person that's in possession of it. So he had every right to listen to what was there and look at what was there, and he was shocked. What he saw, he says, were clear evidence of crime, clear evidence that the Bidens were lying over and over again. And then on the photographs, clear evidence of criminal activity and some activity that I probably would have a hard time describing and really should be left to more private discussion.
about this potential corruption for a while. What is your reaction to what we've learned?
Well, it's very simple. The story is not about Hunter Biden. It's about Joe Biden. Number one, it's about how Joe Biden's lied to the American people. He's lied about this for years. And on the debate stage with President Trump, when President Trump called him out, he lied to the American people again on national TV. The mainstream media, this is how afraid of this story they are. George Stephanopoulos did not want to go near this story last night. It's the biggest story in the world on many levels, on the Biden's corruption, on access to Biden, on Biden's lies, on Biden's relationship with the murderous dictatorship of the Chinese Communist Party, direct financial relationships, also about the FBI, and about social media and really mainstream media being a pulling guard for him. The ABC did not want to touch this. So you can tell the mainstream media, social media, they are petrified. This story has stopped any momentum that Joe Biden had. The Biden campaign does not know how to answer it. They've not questioned really the validity of the emails. The New York Post today and actually ran a sympathetic story or empathetic story about Hunter Biden, because the story's not about Hunter Biden. The story's about Joe Biden.
Welcome from Midtown Manhattan and also our nation's capital. It's War Room Pandemic. You're in the War Room. It is the 16th of October. It's Friday, ending another week and about to hurtle into a very contentious weekend as we have, 17 in a wake-up to as 250 flag officers who have signed a petition to support President Trump said is the most important election in the history of this republic. And we're going to see as it intensifies over the next 17, 18 days and then leads into overtime, of which social media, if this is any preamble to what they intend to do, they intend to drive the election to really, quite frankly, a very damaged Joe Biden. This is the biggest story in the world, and it's the biggest story at so many different levels. The signal, not the noise, is that Joe Biden has lied to the American people, that Joe Biden is actually in business and on the payroll of the Chinese Communist Party, and his family has sold access to Joe Biden for many, many years to the Chinese Communist Party. It's the reason Joe Biden takes the Beijing line all the time. It's the reason that when the president shut down travel from China, when the president quarantined people coming back from China, I think it was on the 31st of January, the first 10 days of our show, War Room Pandemic, we were the only people in the world. BBC hadn't started to cover it like us. No one had started to cover this like us, okay? Joe Biden took the Beijing line, called President Trump a nativist, called him a xenophobe, called him a racist, all of it. And you now know why. The relationship goes much deeper than the $1.5 billion private equity fund that Hunter Biden has. This is about Joe Biden. It's about his brother James Biden. It's about access to Biden. Joe Biden right now, with the evidence on this hard drive, and last night Tucker Carlson coming up with additional emails, you're going to see other major media organizations come forward, I think, in the next couple of days with brutal stories about Joe Biden's relationships with the Chinese Communist Party and others. And so this is starting to play out, and people, particularly in working class areas in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, when you want to, places like North Carolina with the textile industry, when you want to find out why all your businesses and industries, whether it was textile, apparel, whether it's all the great manufacturing up in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, when you want to know why it all got shipped by Wall Street to China, understand that the senator from Wilmington, Delaware, the post office box of the global corporations, the senator who was put on the campaign with the fire-breathing anti-war populist Barack Obama was Joe Biden. It all becomes clear now. Remember, we're the anti-conspiracy theory site. I've told people from day one, it's not a deep state. It's in your grill, okay? There's no conspiracy, but there's no coincidence. This is the way the system works. And the biggest question, I said this on the John Frederick radio show early this morning after my Maria hit, is that the President of the United States should get Bill Barr and FBI Director Wray into the Oval Office before he leaves for his rally today. And he ought to ask point blank why Wray did not come forward, why the FBI did not come forward immediately in November and December 2019 when they had this hard drive, why they did not come forward immediately and do two things. One, take it to Senator Ron Johnson's committee over on Capitol Hill at the Senate, not give it to Trump. But the other was start to have the media see it so Democratic voters, Bernie Sanders voters, could weigh and measure what this said about Joe Biden, about Joe Biden's corruption with the Chinese Communist Party.
I hope that G Club and G Fashion can create glory for the fashion business. G Club is able to create an era in human history that allows both poor men and men with taste alike to be fashionable at affordable prices. G Club can be such a platform and bridge. To our interpreters, please do a good job in your translation. This is a good part. Another thing, what is fashion? I will talk about this again. I think the most important aspect of fashion is innovation. Furthermore, you can find confidence in fashion. You can find yourself in fashion. And at the same time, elevate yourself. Fashion is not what you wear for others to see. Fashion is what you wear for yourself. It is not a show-off of your wealth, nor is it for belittling others. It is a reflection of one's inner beauty, and a way to display that beauty. Also, fashion can give you strength. Fashion really can make you successful. The tie and cufflinks I am wearing today. Why did I use these cufflinks? Why did I wear the NFSC tie? Because it is my faith. Why did I put on this new Dolce & Gabbana shirt? Also, this is a brand new Brioni suit. And these shoes were made by Louis Vuitton. They make me feel confident to stand here today.
Germany sets new daily infections record as cases surge in Europe. As US COVID-19 hospitalizations rise, NIH director warns more deaths may follow. Trump health officials announce plan for free COVID vaccines in nursing homes. Navy finds new COVID-19 cases abroad previously. Virus-stricken USS Theodore Roosevelt. U.S. deficit spikes to record $3.1 trillion in 2020 amid pandemic spending. Pfizer could apply for U.S. emergency use approval for coronavirus vaccine by late November. U.S. stocks edge higher on vaccine hope. South Africa's president unveils $16 billion plan to boost economy.
Dear mama, are you okay over there? Your son is crying and missing you, and sees you in his dreams. You sent Jake down to CCP, cause it's God's will, it's God's will. So I'll wait for you, and I'll see you when we get in the CCP, yeah. So